Well, it's been a week, actually 8 days since my mother died, and I talked before. Oh, great. One of my cats is showing. I'm trying to have a fight. Oh, no, she's gone in the window. That's good. About the pendulum effect when you have avoidant personality disorder. About how you can... Oh, this is not working. What is not working? It's too lumpy and lumpy. That's what happens when you get a pillow top mattress. Nothing's ever flat. Anyway, the pendulum for avoidant personality disorder is not like the normal cycle of say a depression or anything like that. It's more like there is a baseline of not wanting or not being able to interact with people. And there are some points of massive stress when you can push through that tendency and basically not act as avoidant as your baseline. The problem is, it will swing back. It will swing back just as hard as you were sort of released from the avoidant tendencies for a little while. You'll swing back and get basically destroyed by the avoidance. And that's where I am now. It's strange. You know, I mean, y'all have seen my videos. You know, the very first one is suicidal ideation. And how it can be sort of a relief, this idea that, all of my problems are solved. You know, I had a new variant of it, which is, you know, I've had so many people I've had to deal with in the past week that, damn, I would just kick it just so that I would never have to meet or interact with another new person again in my life. That would be beautiful, which is way wrong. That was a very fleeting thought. It was interesting because, again, it was new. And again, fleeting, went away again. But that's what I mean by the pendulum. So incredibly competent last week, and this week I am not functioning. And I've had a couple of really harsh reality checks. My mother's bills, holy shit, she just wasn't paying anything. And now I'm going to have to deal with that, and I don't deal well with the pressure of bills. I have a graduate student mentality. I do not do credit or credit cards, which I know makes me un-American. As a matter of fact, it was, what was that book called? Confessions of a Shopaholic. Holy crap, which is, you know, your average little chick lit type book. Oh my god. I mean, it's not even great. I had absolute panic attacks, legit, reading that book. about all these bills that this woman, character in a book, had to pay and couldn't pay. And I was like, oh my God, it just, ugh. So now here's real life. Here's real life is that I'm getting all these bills that I'm going to have to deal with because the rest of the family has fucked off. The other thing, because again, I read, oh, there he goes. Where are you going, cat? What is up here? Cat food in his feet. That's all. Anyway, I read a lot, and I read a book this week, which maybe probably was either the most, I think I killed, I've not won this game. And I'll go through it one more time just to make sure. Nope. There we go. Called 5 Days at Memorial. It's actually a really excellent book. It's about the hospital in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Cat, do not fight with the other cat. It's just what I need to have them go up one side and down the other of me trying to get at each other. Anyway, and you know, the people that were abandoned and on life support, and the doctors that decided to basically euthanize them, and the medications that they used to euthanize them, and they were persecuted for it, and you know, arrested and everything else. And hey, knock it off. Hey, you, knock it off. Jealous. Anyway, yeah, the doctors were arrested for euthanizing, and I'm reading these drugs that they were giving, and they were the exact same drugs that were given to my mother. That was harsh. Seeing that, I mean, again, in the end, as gross as it is to say, once I get over this shock, it's probably going to be better for me that I don't have to deal with my mother and her crap. But I know that she did not sign up for them to euthanize her. And I know especially the morphine, she didn't like it. She didn't want it. But, you know, once you're in hospice, you have to do what they say. You have no control. You can't refuse anything. You have to just follow their rules. And they killed her. I mean, they also had a problem with when she came out of the hospital because, I don't know if I told you this, she was on prednisone, which is a hormone for her lungs because she had pneumonia. And they are supposed to, whenever you have a steroid like that, you're supposed to taper it. You're supposed to have a little bit less and a little bit less so that your body can get used to being on its own without it. And they didn't. And she even questioned them and said, hey, is this right? And they're like, yeah, you don't need it. And so she didn't take, she didn't taper it down, and her lungs completely filled up with fluids, and that's why she died. Well, that was the thing that caused her to go into hospice, was because her lungs were full of fluids. So, yeah, that was difficult hearing about that, to say the least, knowing about that. I am making such a mess here. What's back here? Yeah, I have more. So, that was a hell of a shock. That was the last sort of burst of anger, even though the way people in my family have treated me. And now, it's different from depression. It's hard to explain. I can shuffle with one hand. it is the complete lack of anything. Like, you don't want to interact, don't want to do anything that would cause you to interact. It's similar to depression because it's really, let's see if I can play another dumb thing. It's hard to, this wasn't shuffled at all. Huh. Well, this is useless then. I don't know. I don't think I can really describe it. Is he flicking his tail? Yeah. What exactly is going on? See, nails are awful. But that's what it is. The pendulum goes back in the other direction. And it's just utter hell. As able as I was to function before, I am not able to function now. So I guess it's good that I don't have to do anything. Today's also the first day I don't have anything to do. My son is being re-diagnosed for autism because he's going to college. And so they need to have an up-to-date diagnosis, which that means a new doctor and a new set of tests and a new, the whole thing, but that'll be over soon. It is over basically soon. Unless they need more. Possible she'll need more, but unlikely. Probably I'll just try to function and cope. And my house is just insane. It's just mad. Because everything that got kept from my mother's is now like piled in piles all over the place, and I'm going to have to go through it again. It was hard enough to go through it the first time. I'm going to have to go through it and then actually find a place for everything. And I don't know. Maybe I'll start hanging baskets from the ceiling or something. I don't know. I'm not prepared to have a second household dumped in the middle of mine. I don't know. Again, this is probably pointless. And I'll get messages saying, why are you wasting your time with doing these messages? And stuff like that. But the point is to say, yes, a pendulum is real. A pendulum is in effect. And I got everything I needed to do and interacted with people and gave so many old sobbing people hugs, you have no idea. Apparently my cousins were super impressed at my ability to say no to people when they wanted to take stuff. I had a cousin. I might be repeating myself. The creepiest thing I have ever heard in my life. The guy wanted my mother's ashes. And I'm just like, I can't imagine why. Why would my cousin want my mother's ashes? I mean, I don't really like the idea that they're in my house now. But why would my cousin want them? I can't. I mean, the only thing, other than my family's a wicked pack rat. My mother, my God, she had 4 blenders, 4 different types of blenders. It's like, oh my God, what? He's apparently the same way, and he's a pack rat and wants ashes because, it's just something to have. I'm like, you fucking weirdo. You creepy fucking weirdo. I mean, as weird as that a thought is, it's better than my other thought, which is that maybe he was going to try and ransom them. So I'm actually really, really glad that as far as relatives go, since we're not having a funeral, I don't have to deal with any of them anymore. It's done. Absolutely done. I have to deal with my sister, but she has not been flushed out yet. Refused to talk about anything. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, because of course I got to do my mother's taxes before April. If, you know, if her pattern holds, then I probably won't hear from her for about 3 years. So I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that, but I'll figure it out. Up here comes another cat. But the pendulum is real. And it feels like I've been thrown into this hole and I'll be here forever. That's not true. You know, I've been in the pendulum hole, hey, before. I'll be there again. It happens. It's going to take a long time to get back to slightly normal. And it's not because of my mother. It's the avoidance. I mean, it might be longer because now I have to cope with that. Because again, I'm sure, just like I am sure that she wanted to die, which is why when I'm seeing these things that were happening to her medically, I'm like, holy shit. That's not right. Somebody shouldn't be allowed to do this type of shit. This was clearly somebody fucked up big time. Fucked up at the hospital, and then how dare the hospice, you know, when she wasn't in pain, overdose her on morphine and knew it. Well, they were killing her. They did it on purpose. And the second one, what is it, Ativan or something like that? I have it all written down. But, you know, how dare they? And the person that released her at the hospital, she should have, one, had the prednisone stepped down, and two, been put in a nursing home. But the reality is she wanted to die. She didn't like being old. She didn't like being dependent on people. She was absolutely abusive to anybody that tried to help her because she hated it. So she wanted to die. So, okay, she got what she wanted. And that's actually, you know, that cuts all that sort of train of thought completely off. But, you know, she guilt tripped me to the very last second that I never did enough. And that's going to be the thing that sticks. Oh, well, that will bother me. But you know what? It's my mother. Everything about her bothered me. That's different. That's the grief. That is different from the avoidant pendulum swing, which is deeper and stronger than any normal depression. And it's also completely dependent upon however hard you put yourself out there beforehand. You know, you put yourself out there a lot, you're going to get absolutely nailed when the pendulum swings back. At least I knew it was coming. Again, this is a good thing. I knew it was coming. I was completely mad as my therapist is like, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Told me I should get on Match.com and try to date. I'm like, are you fucking insane? That'd be a no. That would be a hard no. That would, I mean, I really, truly, I don't think I'd be capable of it. But even if I was, it'd be the same thing. The pendulum swings out and it swings back. It will be years before I have enough energy to let the pendulum swing out that I can do what I did last week again. Interact with people. So many people in such an extended amount of time. Years before I'll be able to recover to the point where I could even think about having the energy to do that. And that's okay. You know, you get used to it. You get used to the pattern. And now I'm down, and that's life. But yeah, I told y'all this is what happens. Here's an example of it actually happening.